Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the West Goshen Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, October the 7th. To start the meeting, will you please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item of business, please be aware this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, and also the meeting may be audio or video recorded by people present in the room. Our first item of business is public comment. Is there anybody here who has a question, a comment to make about something that is not on the agenda this evening? Doug?
West Goshen Township. I have a few comments. Aside from being October 7th, there was a storefront accident recently at the Luke Oil, so please consider a storefront safety ordinance. Please do that. As we know, one fatality is too many. Also, the Historical Commission is working on historical markers, which is a good thing, but please prioritize finishing the Courtyard Wall of Fame. The historical aspects are important, but honoring those who serve the township are more important in my opinion. And Am Yisrael Chai, let's not forget what today is, and those who died. May they all rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Is there anyone else with a comment or question for the board? Stephen?
Good evening, Township Board of Supervisors. Here representing Save Forsyth Farm, 905 West Town Road. We did want to make a couple of brief comments that several weeks ago, Mr. Kravitz showed up to clear some roughage, the overgrowth, and there were several objects that, because of the careless contractors that he employed, landed in the vicinity of two of our neighbors who almost got hit. And while the conservatorship seems like a positive step in the right direction, to at least stabilize this property and see what can be done in terms of the historic asset, we are completely opposed to any demolition of this historic asset, and we are opposed to any development of this 8.5 acres of land because it's really not suited for development. We did have a question in regards to how soon a tarp may be able to be placed, because we understand that the actual conservator will not be appointed until the November 10 court hearing. So we are concerned about the further deterioration of the roof. And our group is moving in a positive direction. We had our first fundraising, and within 24 hours, we exceeded our goal by $100. There's a lot of energy and commitment to this history. We also recognize that we need to present to the Board of Supervisors a compelling case for why we view this historic asset should be preserved and protected, as well as an acquisition strategy. It is regretful that our township, one of the oldest in the country, does not have a heritage site devoted to some of the extraordinary history that's here. So with that said, we do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, just to follow up on that, so the concern about the continuing deterioration with respect to between now and when the court hearing is on November the 10th, is there anything we're doing from a township property inspection perspective that could assist in that or not?
I'm not aware of anything, but I can certainly look into it.
Okay.
I know that, I can just say that I know that the property management company that was maintaining it is no longer maintaining it, to the best of my knowledge. But I can look into that.
Okay.
As far as I know, he's still the owner of the property.
Mr. Lyons, with respect to your comments about the potential conservatorship action, as you know, we now petition the court, and that will happen on November the 10th, and the judge will be making decisions to whether to appoint the conservator or not, and then they will then have the authority to then come back to the judge with a plan to remediate the blight, which could include demolition, as we discussed at the meeting where we discussed whether to go ahead with the petition or not. Okay. Anyone else with a comment or question for the board? Okay, then we'll move on to agenda item number 4. And this is presentations regarding our 2026 budget. And the first up, I believe, is a presentation from Good Fellowship Ambulance. So welcome, Mr. Brogan.
Good evening, Chaz Bergen. I'm the Executive Director from Good Fellowship Ambulance. I brought our Board President, Don Verdiani. Most of you know him. I just want to give him a minute to introduce himself and say hi to everyone.
I didn't know he was going to do that. Hi, Don Verdiani. I'm a volunteer EMT, been President of Good Fellowship, elected from the membership for 6 years.
Welcome.
Quick presentation here. Chris told me I had to be quick, so I'll be as quick as possible. So.
And Chaz, I apologize. For some reason, it's not syncing, so it's going to have to be presented like this. So I apologize.
So, head to the next slide there, Chris. So I always have to start with this recognition. So Good Fellowship's received this quality award every year since assuming the Advanced Life Support Service from Chester County Hospital. This is the highest level recognition from American Heart, and it speaks to their care of stroke and heart attack victims. We get this because we submit our data to the American Heart Association, and we meet or exceed every metric there, really with our partnership with the hospital as well. So I always like to highlight the quality care that they're out there doing. Next slide there. Some of the highlights, and again, West Goshen is very involved in the coalition, but also our municipal advisory board, so most of you know this as well. We did launch an alternate destination pilot where we're taking some behavioral health patients directly to Haven, the new behavioral health hospital. We are the first in the Commonwealth to be doing that. That's a great pilot program. Most of these patients do not belong in the emergency department. They should be going to a behavioral health facility. So far so good on that. We also expanded to start covering all of West Whiteland Township on June 1st. That grew our operations by about 23%. That was a large growth for us. That was our 5th station. We were opening our 6th station in West Whiteland in just a couple weeks here, provided by the township. I do like to mention that West Whiteland was removed from the funding formula. For the next 3 years at least, they'll be on their own budget, and they are fully self-sustaining with their contribution. So growth of West Whiteland has no impact on the other 9 municipalities. Our new rehab vehicle, which is a federally funded asset that responds to large incidents countywide to support other first responders, make sure they're hydrated, they're safe, they're medically stable. And of course, West Goshen had a large role in the bringing on this EMS ATV really for the Greystone Park there. That is in service. It's actually getting finalized tomorrow. It was dropped off today for some of the emergency equipment. But that is in service and available to our entire coverage area. Some of the highlights from 2025. Next one there. Next one. There we go. Our service area now, so we're expecting over 9,000 dispatches next year. That is 22% of all the EMS dispatches in Chester County, 75 square miles of coverage, and a fifth of the county's population now is covered by fellowship. So I point to that just again, the economies of scale there of being part of a larger regional service. So, next slide. Just a reminder about West Goshen. The services are split here, really on 202 and Phoenixville Pike. So Good Fellowship provides BLS and ALS to the western side, just ALS to the eastern side, with Goshen Fire Company, who's coming up here next. So 2026, I broke it down this way this year to really show you our total deficit that we're looking to make up. So there's obviously a pretty substantial increase, which we'll get into. Also looking for an amended service contract to help make this up. So our operating loss there is pretty tremendous. We fund our capital off of depreciation. So depreciation is included in our expenses there. The total operating loss is $2.3 million, and the graph you see there is how we are looking to make that up next year. 60% of it is with municipal funding from the local municipalities. Certainly grants, subscriptions, donations. Our training center actually generates a lot of that as well, and some miscellaneous income as well. So we do need an increase on everything. We are ramping up some of our development activities as well to try to make this up, but primarily seeking some more assistance from local governments to continue to provide the level of service we provide today. Any questions on that slide at all?
I have one. Your ambulance subscriptions, does that fluctuate a lot year to year, or is that pretty much an average?
Pretty stable. You know, admittedly, it's not as successful as we hoped it would be. So, you know, we've done a lot of marketing. The township last year allowed us to put yard signs on the parks. We're doing the same this year. We switched to a new system this year as well that allowed people to actually create online accounts and manage their subscriptions, provide their insurance information to us. So that went live just a couple days ago. So we're hoping those things will have an impact. It also allows people to automatically renew. So we're hoping that'll allow it to go forward. But certainly anything the township can do to market that for us and publicize that would be helpful.
Could probably put it in the newsletter.
Yeah, I did send something to them
So,
actually,
yeah.
it'll be in your next newsletter, so.
Yeah, I had two questions. So with respect to the expansion into West Whiteland, you say that increased operational expenses by 30%, but that it's fully self-sustaining and that they're paying for their services.
Yeah.
So when you say that, are they taking a share of the administration overhead of Good Fellowship, or is it solely the actual?
Yeah, we applied a management fee to West Whiteland, which is a percentage. We took their total call volume, which is about 22%. So they took on 22% of management fee of our administration.
Okay, so without them coming on, that 22% would have been even a bigger operating loss applied to the other municipalities. Is that correct?
Correct. So.
Okay, and then the billing revenue. Do you have a feel for how that has changed in the last 2 or 3 years as we've seen these increases in costs to municipalities or requests to municipalities?
Yeah, so ambulance billing is a huge challenge. Actually, our billing company is based in North Carolina. They flew in with us all day today, actually going over some of their stuff they're rolling out. That's a big challenge. A lot of people are switching to high deductible plans. A lot of Medicare beneficiaries are switching to Medicare Advantage, which is more co-pays, more out of pocket. So we're seeing that impact that every year our revenue from billing is growing very, very slowly. The expenses, as you know, are skyrocketing. So we're looking for other ways to fund this deficit, and you know, this is how we're going to try to do that next year. Really more support from the municipalities is what we're looking for. Yeah, billing is a big challenge for the unit, so I think we want for hours about it.
So you're saying that, if I'm correct in understanding you, when we see the individual with a high deductible plan or Medicare Advantage be responsible for the cost of the service, you're not being able to recover as much from that as
It's
you
an
would from
out-of-pocket expense for
insurance.
the patient typically, and, they don't have the ability to pay it. We offer payment plans if they can, and unfortunately, a lot of those folks end up in collections as well, which creates, a little bit of a PR issue for us and probably damages that willingness to donate to us.
Okay.
I have a question. Where's a lot of your grant funding coming from?
The majority of our grants have come from the state, discretionary funds from Representative Committa, Senator Committa, excuse me. She's been really good to us, so the ATV was purchased from there. We had a private foundation, which I'll have in the next slide here. There's a really great donor to us. They concluded their efforts last year. They were buying entire ambulances for us. So unfortunately, that is really a huge piece of this deficit that we have to hand off now, because they're no longer operating as of last year.
Is there anything that you would need from the township or any support that we could provide as far as like letters of support or anything like that that might increase your grant funding?
Yeah, we've done that before. I think our next thing is actually working with the COG around the LSA grant program. See if the COG will sponsor a grant for us, which we've had some verbal conversations. Sounds like there's interest in there. So we've onboarded a grant writer too that specializes in state and federal grants that would write that for us. We just need the COG's blessing to do it. So
Chaz and I met, it was earlier this year, I believe, probably sometime around March or April, and under the guidelines for the local share account program, EMS companies aren't eligible under that, so I'd suggested to Chaz maybe going with the COG and having the COG be the applicant since they service all of those municipalities in there, so that's what he's referring to.
yeah. So if we could just do that every year from the COG, that would have an impact on this number. We get that grant every year, so that's pretty tremendous. So, work in progress. Go to the next slide there, please. So looking at 2026 capital, I don't think I need to tell anyone the cost of everything is just skyrocketing. So we have an ambulance that we committed to 2 years ago that we will see next year for that total expense. That is all the equipment, everything. Just as an example though, we just ordered an ambulance about a month ago. It's $305,000 just for the vehicle, and the equipment will probably be another $110,000, $120,000. So tremendous price increases on vehicles. That's really what's catching us off guard more than anything, unfortunately. So our building is 21 years old now. There's some stuff just going bad in it. Our key fob system is becoming a huge challenge. We have to do that next year. Retrofit some spaces, some asphalt parking lots we have to repair. So really the must-dos next year, we're deferring some of the other stuff, unfortunately, but just to make sure it's in our budget.
As this vehicle, the ambulance, is that a replacement for an existing unit, or is it a new purchase?
This is an add-on.
It's an add-on.
So even pre-West Whiteland, we've always had 6 ambulances. We were going to go to 7. We purchased our 7th with West Whiteland funds, so this will actually be our 8th now. Sort of adding to our fleet here.
Well, one thing I noticed on Goshen Fire and EMS budget presentation that's coming up is one thing they've looked at to save on capital cost is to re-chassis when they replace an ambulance, so not get a full replacement vehicle. So have you started to consider whether that would be an option for your future capital needs? I know if you're buying a new vehicle, it isn't an option, but...
We've been re-chassis for like 15, 20 years. So we buy new, re-chassis, and then replace, so we get about 15 years out of the box. So 2 or 3 vehicles in our fleet are actually re-chassis now.
Okay.
So the one next in 2028 will actually be a re-chassis.
Okay.
So... Good? Yeah.
Chaz, what does re-chassis mean?
Yeah, great question. So what they actually do is take the box off the ambulance, put a brand new truck underneath of it, put the box back down, and refurbish it. It looks like a brand new ambulance. So, and it saves $100,000 or so. It's pretty efficient. So, again, most people are dealing with this. Salaries are definitely our #1 thing. EMS was not left out of that. The healthcare mass exodus post-pandemic. A lot of EMS providers chose to leave the field, which reduced the pool of people. So really trying to retain the really good, talented professionals we have, but also recruit new people. We have to keep adjusting our pay scales to really keep up with the market. I always say we'll never be the highest paying EMS agency, we do try to keep our people within a comparable market to make sure we're retaining them. That's been the number one challenge for the past few years, unfortunately. In vehicles, medical equipment, a lot of our medical.
Hold on for a second.
Yeah.
Talking about salaries.
Yeah.
You're primarily a career or salaried state, is that correct?
We're combinations. We do have some volunteers, but primarily our staffing is by the employees.
How many volunteers do you have, and have you seen that trend decrease recently, or have you seen an uptick in it? Where's the status of your volunteers going?
Yeah, so it's certainly decreasing. You know, there's been a sharp drop off over the last 15, 20 years for sure. Today, I would say we have about 25 active volunteers putting in hours every single month. The biggest program for us is the Westchester University program we have. We have about 15 certified college students that volunteer every week for us for our Westchester University program. We have retirees as well that volunteer for us. We have quite a few of them. Second careers, our vice president is a commercial broker and volunteers 6 to 12 hours a week for us on the evening. So we have quite a few volunteers still, not as much as we'd like. But unfortunately, that really is where nationally we are with volunteers.
Yeah, I'm aware of that problem. Do you have a live-in program for volunteers?
We do. Yep, we have 4 live-ins. We currently have 4 rooms. We currently have 3 of them filled with college students. And every room, they have to do 18 hours a week of volunteer time. So that's been really successful for us.
Are you looking to expand that?
We're not. We have 4 rooms available. We've had trouble getting 4 occupants. We typically average 2 or 3 occupants at a time. So, and then certainly, again, vehicles, durable medical equipment, you know, with supply chain issues for the past few years, tariffs is the word now we hear on everything. We're getting impacts on that across the board. A lot of our equipment is made in other countries. A lot of our medications are made in other countries. We're seeing the impacts from that. So, and then insurance has really been a big surprise for us. Fire and EMS is risky at a baseline, so a lot of insurance companies are getting out of the fire and EMS business, leaving the couple that will still insure us to raise their rates tremendously. So that's been a big challenge for us. The next slide I'm going to talk about. So part of this too is we are looking to update our existing service agreement with West Goshen Township. Some of the wording changed in there, really around essentially splitting the deficit 50-50. That's just not an option for us anymore, unfortunately, because the deficit has grown so much, more than we could have ever thought 4 years ago when we put that initial service agreement in. So we are looking to update all of our existing service agreements, and then any township that is not currently in the service agreement, bring them onto it. So all 10 of ours will be in a service agreement in 2026. That is our goal. So Chris has that draft. I'm sure you've seen it by now, but just some wording changes in there as well.
So are you committing to some level of sharing in the operating loss? I mean, we've seen a pie chart previously, which was 59% funded by municipal funding. Is that in the contract language or not?
There's no percentage in the contract language at all for that. Yeah, so we're just, unfortunately, that's caught up to us there. Does the remain language associated with the size of increase that's the maximum from one year to the next? Yeah, so we talked about that. Have they seen the draft language? Okay. Another township had asked to beef that language up a little bit, which you have in front of you there, which we're agreeable to, which pretty much has a shall not exceed 10% unless those reasons.
And we have an unless reason this year, right?
So yeah.
That's why I know the contract's coming to an end, so.
Yeah.
But if this situation was occurring next year, you would have a but reason?
I think the other issue is the dollar amounts were so low that a 10% increase on $100,000, this will get us to a point where we can come to you hopefully with a 5 or 6% increase. It's just the dollar amounts were so low that we were right against that 10% every year for the last 3 years. We probably should have been more, honestly.
So changing landscape, changing reimbursement, changing expense situation, the contract was written 2 years ago.
Yeah, it handcuffed us. So this new language will fix that and a few other things. So the next slide there, Chris, and then we'll go the slide out here. So this is the shared funding model that we use. Again, the only change to this is West Whiteland was removed, really for your benefit. So again, all that fundraising we do already, the income from our training institute does not apply to West Whiteland Township. It would not be fair to add that and take that away from you. provide that to a new township. So you're only sharing with 8 others now on the shared model. And again, these numbers come from a weighted formula, half of it on your population, half of it on your dispatch call volume that we look at every year to come to that number.
And could you remind us who currently commits to the share funding in terms of a signed agreement and who doesn't?
Yeah, so Birmingham is contracted, East Bradford is contracted, East Goshen is not. Newland has a tax in place for EMS that actually pays more than that, so they are not in a contract. Thornbury is in a contract, West Bradford is not, Westchester is, West Goshen is, and Westtown is not.
And do they, even though they're not in a contract, do they provide these funding amounts per the formula?
All but one provides their agreed funding amount, and we are working with that township and believe that they will come to the table next year with a contract and full amount.
Okay. And have you had conversations with the majority of these relative to the budget request for 26 yet, or are we one of the first?
No, actually, most of them have had some conversation or public meeting, and I believe we will have success across all 10 townships next year. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Next slide. This is the one I wanted to cover here. So obviously the deficit is really the issue here. So, the number one question is why such a dramatic increase? It's this deficit that is skyrocketing every single year. Now, I hope that's going to slow down a little bit. I think the wage market will slow a little bit. I certainly hope durable medical equipment and vehicles slow a little bit from what we've seen. But that's been our number one issue. So some of the things we've done to try to control costs, we've outsourced our EMS billing. That used to be internal with 2.5 FTEs. That's outsourced now to a third-party company. We did outsource CFO controllers late last year. They were previously full-time employees internally. That saved us some money. This year in 2025, we approved a budget with a $500,000 gap in it. We funded that gap with state 2% loans to buy our capital this year. We are moving to a new insurance broker as we speak. We're actually meeting with them Friday for the first time to make sure that we are really just looking for advocating for us out in the market for insurance plans. So unfortunately, we did make a change there. We've trimmed our EMS staffing where we can. So to give you a great example, from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., we've one less person come in just because our data shows we can support that. So we try to trim that where we can, and then certainly a ton of advocacy as well. Try to get some of the state legislation across the finish line.
Have you looked at potentially cooperative purchasing or buying power associated with being able to work with other EMS providers on insurance, collectively get a better deal by pooling together? Have you researched any of that opportunity?
We have around medical supplies, and the feedback we're getting from our suppliers is because we are a high volume service, we are pretty much getting the better price. So really it would bring everybody else's prices down to come in with us. So we really haven't explored.
That's still a good thing though, right?
Yeah, we would do it, absolutely, we'd help them. So.
What about insurance? I mean, that's one where if you have a larger coverage.
This year, we tried to get into Delaware Valley Health Trust. We're not eligible for that, unfortunately. So our new broker is presenting some options that we haven't considered before, really around property and casualty, but also our medical benefits as well. So we're looking at all options right now to try to save.
How do the employees break down? Like how many full-time employees and do you have part-time?
Yeah. So we have about 100 employees total. About half of them are full-time now. Operationally, about 32 of them just do ambulance stuff. The rest are training or administrative. And then the majority of the part-timers are part-time EMTs and paramedics. So it's about 55 FTEs total now, including West Whiteland across the board. So the part-time pool is a challenge right now. 10 years ago, we were mostly part-time. The world has definitely changed now. We've had to convert a lot of that to full-time positions. So.
Yeah, if the ambulance subscriptions were to, let's say, double, would that reduce?
Absolutely. Yeah, the way we do our budgets, we put the expenses in and then take off our fundraising first. That balance is what we see from municipalities. So we can increase our fundraising, that would lower that municipal number. So whatever's left over, that's really what we ask municipalities to support.
And can you just say what is the advantage of an ambulance subscription?
Sure, absolutely. So For $60 to $125 a year, that ensures no out-of-pocket cost for the person using the ambulance, so it's a win-win. It's also a fundraiser for us. So it is not an insurance policy, just to be clear, but it is a really good benefit there for a very nominal amount of money to have no out-of-pocket costs, especially with copay or deductible. So well worth it. Last but not least, I just want to cover this study, and it is small on the screen. I apologize here. This was something I did with some of my colleagues countywide earlier this year. And really the intent was just to kind of get eyes on where we are as a county with EMS funding. So what you're looking at are other townships that receive BLS and ALS services from one EMS agency. And where West Goshen is today is by dispatch $100.37 per dispatch. So what I'd like to point out on this is really those two white columns there, the amount of service West Goshen gets for a relatively low amount compared to other municipalities there. The next slide is if I were to change this to the 2026 number, where it lands West Goshen, takes you up to $169 per dispatch, with the average being $172 across the county. So still relatively below the average in the county with a tremendous amount of service. But again, I thought this was a good opportunity to kind of give eyes on where we are countywide with the EMS funding. So questions on this? And this is an Excel sheet that you can work and manipulate. I know Chris has it. We can certainly share it with you. So the next two are just ALS only, so really the eastern parts of West Goshen. We are very low in 2025 here. All the Good Fellowship townships are highlighted in yellow there. We are the lowest in Chester County. The next slide is again applying our 2026 numbers to that and where it lands the Good Fellowship municipalities for ALS funding. So
you have the numbers from other townships, other providers?
For 2025, yes. We got them from other providers and the townships. We sent a couple right to knows to get the information from some townships, but we were able to include 61 of the 73 in the study. The other ones can't separate their fire and EMS costs, so that's why we did not include them in this.
Questions for Chaz that we haven't had already?
Yeah, I have a question. Training. You have a training facility there at your facility in Montgomery Avenue, correct?
Yes.
How does the ambulance company interact with that training facility? I guess what I'm leading up to is what kind of credentials do your EMTs and paramedics have to have?
So our training center is actually one of the largest now in the tri-state area. We teach about 3,000 students a year. So 3 levels of provider: EMT, advanced EMT, paramedic. So EMT is about a 3-month course. They have to take a national certification. Paramedics are highest level certification. That's a 1-year certificate program, more than full-time for a year. And those are advanced life support providers that are providing a higher scope of practice. So those programs are costly. So trying to get folks through those programs is good. It also gets people on our ambulances. We actually just received a grant to send 5 people through those programs at no cost to us, which is great. Workforce development grant. So that will help staff with fellowships ambulances. So looking to get some of those grant funds out to other EMS agencies as well, so they can do the same thing and increase their staffing. Our programs also have an articulation room in Westchester, so they can transfer them into college credits at Westchester, which is just another benefit we offer as well.
Are you partnering with any of the local high schools, like the CCI units, with their any programs they have available there?
Yeah, we do a ton of that all over the county too. We're forming student clubs right now in some of our middle schools and high schools, tied to a new reinvented junior member program that we've just started. We have about 50 members under the age of 18. So they're actually forming student clubs in their high schools and middle schools to kind of advocate for EMS things, get other students interested. And again, the goal is to get them in EMT training, get them as volunteers, and probably as paid staff at some point if they're interested. Yeah, Aiden's Heart's another one that we partner with often. We help them with their CPR and CPR training component of the work they do. So,
other questions for Chaz? Is there anyone in attendance who has a question for Good Fellowship ambulance? Very good. Well, thank you, Chaz. We appreciate the update. We understand your budget request. And,
yeah, thanks for your service too.
We appreciate it.
Extensive service.
I have a copy of the draft service agreement for the upcoming 3 years has been included in the packet for the board. There's also an email with the language that Mr. Brogan referenced. That'll be a policy determination for the board to make later on down the road. That draft contract has been reviewed by the solicitor, and all of our changes and questions have been answered.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Chris. All right, we're going to move on to a presentation from our other provider of EMS services and fire service to the Township, the Goshen Fire Company. So, Grant, welcome. Harrison.
Good evening. I'm Grant Everhart, Executive Director of the Goshen Fire Company. I'm here with Ted Harrison, who is the President of the Goshen Fire Company. We're here to talk about our 2026 contribution request from West Goshen Township. Just a high-level overview. The Goshen Fire Company is proud to be celebrating its 75th year of service to the community. We were founded in 1950. We are a volunteer-owned organization. We have approximately 25 responding volunteer firefighters, 5 active EMS staff, and 15 active fire police officers. We currently have 12 full-time firefighter EMTs and 14 active part-time employees. In 2024, we ran 692 fire calls and 5,001 EMS calls. We're on track this year to exceed those numbers by 5 to 10%.
On both fire and EMS? Or just EMS?
Both. And we will, unless we get a real lapse, we'll be over 750 or so on the fire calls, and we're tracking well ahead of last year on EMS calls. We provide fire, EMS, and fire police services to 35,000 residents in 4 townships. We cover almost all of East Goshen Township, about 40% of West Goshen Township, 60% of Westtown Township, and about 16% of Fullstown. We presented a income and expense forecast for the fiscal year 2026 to the township. This forecast is based on year-to-date performance in fiscal year 25, and it includes 2 important staffing initiatives. I will say, aside from these 2 initiatives, our base budget is relatively flat to 2025. But we are adding these 2 initiatives. One is to hire 4 full-time firefighter EMTs to cover shifts that we've covered in the past with part-timers. As Chaz mentioned, it is increasingly difficult to find part-timers who can give you the hours to cover that we currently have. The shifts that we would typically cover with part-timers equals 10.3 full-time equivalents. That's a lot of hours. So we're just seeing fewer and fewer part-time employees being able to give those kinds of hours. If we can hire these full-time firefighter EMTs, our dependability goes up, our coverage goes up, and we can also reduce our overtime costs.
You guys going to have a big going away party for Mr. Weigel? I mean, can you clone him somehow?
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing. He's a volunteer EMS chief for how many years?
He's served, I think, 3 separate terms, probably a combination of.
That's amazing.
Yeah, on and off for 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
He's been a volunteer since the 70s.
It's quite an amazing service for the community.
And he'll still be around. He just, you know, it's he's decided it's time to step down.
Yeah.
So the second initiative is to hire a full-time EMS leader. Currently, as John said, Gary Weigel served as a volunteer EMS chief, and for 75 years we've had volunteers doing this job. But it's time to hire somebody to run the EMS organization for us. We are and will continue to be an extremely flat organization. We don't have many layers of paid leadership. Most of it's volunteer. So we in terms of payroll and leadership costs, we do try to be as cost efficient as possible. Yes, sir. Thanks. A few other budget items of note. Our EMS billing and EMS subscriptions combined represent about 47% of our income. Fundraising and donations represent 9%. and the requested township contributions represent 39%. Our 2026 operating expenses, as I mentioned, include the new firefighter EMT positions and the EMS leader. Sean referred to this earlier. We are making some adjustments to our apparatus replacement reserve funding. We fund our apparatus replacement with annual contributions out of our operating expenses. We maintain an apparatus fund that we project will be sufficient to replace apparatus 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in the future. And what we've been able to do through some adjustments is reduce that annual contribution to the apparatus fund from $276,000 down to $132,000 per year. So how are we doing this? We probably mentioned this last year. We have removed our heavy rescue truck from our fleet. We took our rescue equipment off the rescue truck and moved it to 2 pumpers. And then we sold the rescue truck. And the reason for this is that 20, 30 years ago, we were going to auto accidents, it seemed like every day, several times a week. And those incidents have just bottomed out. We're rarely using our rescue truck for auto accidents. So we were looking at a $1.2 million replacement cost. We decided it would be more cost effective to move the rescue equipment to the pumpers and eliminate the rescue truck from the fleet. So we've done that. It's been a year and a half now, and we've seen no change in our operational capability. The next thing we've done is we have 2 aerial devices. We have Tower 54 at the Park Avenue station and Ladder 56 at the New Road station. Looking at our operations, looking at our mutual aid capabilities from other agencies around us, we decided that it wasn't practical for us to maintain 2 aerial devices. Again, looking at probably a $1.8 million replacement cost in the future. So we are no longer funding that replacement in the apparatus schedule. We still have the vehicle, we're still operating the vehicle. We'll make a decision down the road of when that needs to be retired, what we will replace it with, but it won't be a $1.8 million.
What's its current age?
It's a 2015, so it's about 10 years
Okay.
old.
So it's got some life yet then?
It does. It has 10 to 15 years of life left.
But you're no longer accumulating, you're not no longer operating a reserve funding to replace it down the road?
That is correct. And the money that was reserved in the fund for that is now reallocated to those replacements. And then, as mentioned earlier, we are planning to remount 2 existing ambulances onto new chassis, which will save us about $150,000 per ambulance. We have 2 ambulances on order, and they've been on order for 3 years and 4 months. The clock's still ticking, but when they arrive next February, you'll take 2 old ambulances, send them out for remounting, and we'll just continue that cycle for the foreseeable future. And so, between reducing the fire apparatus fleet and switching to this ambulance remounting process, we can reduce the fleet funding significantly.
I mean, it's really good that, this replacement reserve funding has decreased substantially. Do you think you're going to be caught by surprise, though, by the fact that, for example, like Chaz said, the cost of new equipment just continues to escalate so much that you're going to end up still short of when you need the funds to actually replace a piece of equipment?
So we've operated, our treasurer, who is actually very active in the fire apparatus industry, he maintains a spreadsheet of all of our fleet. He calculates inflation rates. He can change inflation rates in the calculation on the fly. If we see things going from 3% to 5% or whatever. And it constantly updates and tells us how much we're going to need in 2028 to buy, a new ambulance, or 2032 to buy a new pumper. We've had very good luck with it over the years. We're pretty confident that our apparatus reserve is where it needs to be.
Just ask the question, is there an opportunity to sell Ladder 56 now get a substantial amount for it, given this situation, and put that in the capital reserve versus just letting it, if it's not truly needed because you've got another ladder truck, wouldn't that perhaps be a more prudent strategy?
That is being discussed. So we'll be kicking off a strategic planning process the 1st of 2026, and the fleet strategy will be a pretty significant part of that. That's part of the discussion. We could sell it,
Okay.
and then we'd have to replace it with something less, less expensive.
Okay, thank you.
So this spreadsheet shows our income comparison. It also has an EMS and fire column on the far right-hand side. We are a dual-purpose fire company. We provide both fire and EMS. So we do our best when we make these presentations to break out the fire and EMS numbers separately. There's some of it's a bit of a guess, but I think these numbers are pretty on target. Obviously, EMS billings are our single biggest source of income, and it really grows, and it's a linear growth with the number of calls we run. The revenue per call really hasn't changed much over the years.
So are you not seeing the same kind of situation that Chaz mentioned relative to reimbursement from people having higher deductible plans or Medicare Advantage and having to collect from individuals? You're not experiencing that problem too?
We have a pretty robust billing agency that works very closely with us, and they're pretty good at getting the funding. I think Chaz's demographic is a little bit different than ours. Most of our patients, 75% of our patients are 65 and older. It's a fairly dependable revenue stream from Medicare, and Medicare Advantage plans. We kind of know what we're going to get for every call.
Okay.
I was wondering, why is there no EMS billing income?
EMS billing.
I'm sorry, for fire.
Oh, fire billing income is the second one.
Okay, all right, got it. And then, I guess you can't get subscriptions for fire, right?
No.
There's no way to
No, it's,
formulate that.
Yeah,
It's a little bit more difficult with different models.
it's a different model, and
Yeah.
it kind of looks bad. People question whether or not you show up. It's very popular in the Midwest. It's not very palatable in this region.
Okay, so
Just
people are doing it. Okay.
Just remind me, the fire billing income, is that the response to auto vehicle accidents and insurance reimbursement for your expenses?
Yes.
Okay.
Do other states, obvious question, but do other states fund the fire and EMS of the municipalities? Or is this a Pennsylvania
So don't
problem?
quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Delaware provides a lot of state level support to fire companies and EMS programs.
And it's just that our state does not provide.
As a commonwealth, that falls to
A lot of other states,
local
Canada,
level.
provide funding as well.
The county level provides funding?
Some state, Maryland, Maryland has county-wide fire departments.
The structure of Pennsylvania fire departments is very unique. Same thing with EMS. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, that the current laws actually don't permit any kind of county funding for these types of services.
Doesn't it seem like extremely unsustainable?
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Just so the
How do we
board,
like change that at the state level?
that's going to take a conversation with the state legislatures that represent us, and the Fire and EMS Coalition has had those conversations with our representation on numerous occasions, and this has been a topic that we have discussed in the coalition, but unfortunately the laws that exist right now doesn't permit something like that. But that would,
I think it's a disgrace.
that is probably what would address this issue on like a county-wide level.
There's been a number of studies that have come out from the state, and Chester County's done one as well. There's been a number of fixes that have been recommended, but never adopted. It's just it's a stack of paper that thick. It just goes to the board.
Unbelievable.
The only real funding mechanisms that exist for these types of services are the allocations in the general fund that West Goshen Township does, or dedicated millage rate on real estate taxes permitted up to certain caps under the second-class township code.
Or a separate tax on EMS.
Yeah, that's the millage rate under the second-class township code.
Why did the 2026 budget for firearm fees go down significantly?
One of the townships we covered to provide the fees that they had in the past.
Okay.
West Goshen provides a fairly consistent amount every year.
Actually, you have an item there for volunteer recruiting and retention. We're well aware of the trend going on with volunteers and with the generation, it's a generational thing, really. What do you do with those monies? I mean, how do you go about recruiting and retaining your volunteers?
So there's incentive programs for volunteer EMS if they work.
So it's a monetary incentive program?
Some of it is, it's a T-shirt or a gift card for crews that run the most midnight calls, the overnight calls that are kind of difficult to staff. We incentivize, we buy gifts for people to, get out of bed and go to calls in the middle of the night. Our annual banquet and our awards banquet is in that dollar amount. It's a little higher this year because we did a few things with the 75th celebration. But it's all the incentives we provide to the volunteers.
Do you also have a live-in program for volunteers?
We don't currently.
Are you planning to do one?
Yeah, so separately, we are planning a building project at the Park Avenue station that includes live-in quarters. And then we have a design for live-in quarters at Station 56. We're just trying to get the Park Avenue project sort of on wheels before we go on after that.
And just so the board is aware, Goshen Fire Company is applying for that project for what's called a RACP grant. It's like an extensive infrastructure grant. We did provide a letter of support for their application to include.
We also have an application at the federal government through Chrissy Houlihan. It's kind of like the can keeps getting kicked down the road, so we're not too sure about that one. Any questions on expenses? So obviously staffing is our biggest expense. Fleet replacement, even though it's reduced, it's still a big number. Things like insurance. And our insurance has been pretty stable. We're still waiting for the healthcare cost estimate to come in for next year, but our vehicle and liability insurance actually came in less than what we expected.
Do you use the same insurance as Good Fellowship for that?
Yes.
Very easy. So.
So I would broker.
And our
Hopefully that broker will work out for you, save some money. Okay.
This slide illustrates our net revenue, basically our deficit. As you can see, so our projected net revenue is a deficit of $1,478,528. For EMS, that's about $610,000, and for fire, that's about $868,000. The reason EMS is less is because EMS has dedicated income, where fire, other than fire pooling, really doesn't have dedicated income. So we are requesting a township contribution, obviously in the amount of $1,478,528. West Goshen's contribution percentage is calculated at 30.3%, and similarly to Good Fellowship, we base that on call volume, but we use property assessment instead of population to determine our number. I've calculated it both ways. It really sort of lands in the same percentage either way you calculate it.
It follows the same formula as the Westchester Fire Department formula.
You said last year the numbers were the same too. We tweak both of them.
So yeah, so we tweak these numbers every year because call volumes rise and fall. So we just try to be as accurate for the townships as we can be. So we're for 2026 from West Goshen Township, we're requesting a contribution of $447,994.
Grant, I did notice that that was slightly different than what was on the exhibit,
Yes.
so let's need to reconcile those.
Yes. Yeah, so.
How much different? Is that,
A few-
you're just talking about a few $100s or
About
something?
$1,000.
Yeah, between what we originally sent to Chris for the proposed contract amount, we made some adjustments because we found out the actuals for insurance and certain things. And I would think maybe at the end of this month, we should have most of our hard numbers for expenses for next year.
So these 4 townships, how many have a contract with you?
One.
Us?
Are you going to mandate that for next year? Mandate that they all sign up? I mean,
We'll try.
Have any of them failed to provide the income that's shown on the fair share calculation?
I honestly, it hasn't always been exactly what we've asked for. It's usually slightly less.
When you say slightly less, which township pays slightly less than their fair share? Okay.
East Goshen didn't hit the fair share last year.
Okay, they're the ones who are the
Is that
biggest
same
contributor?
as you?
They're the biggest contributor.
And what kind of shortfall do they not provide?
Yes, for 9%, maybe 6 last year. Yeah, 6 or 7. It was-
6 or 7% less than their fair share?
No, we asked for 9 and they, 9% increase and they came in with either 6% or 7%.
Okay, so they were projected to contribute 509,000 less this year. They didn't
Yes.
provide that amount, or that is the amount they provided, it was
that's the-
short.
That's the agreed amount from, we asked for more.
You asked for more, then I gave you that.
500,000.
Okay. Any other questions for Grant from the board? Is there anyone here who has a question for Goshen Fire and EMS? Grant, thank you. Ted, thank you for being here.
Yeah, and again, thank you for your service, sir.
So, just so the board's aware, as unlike with the Good Fellowship contract, the contract that was entered into with Goshen Fire Company does provide for a 1-year extension on the existing terms of the service contract with an updated funding. So that would be extended into 2026 on the existing terms, and then we could negotiate a new contract in 2027 that will line up all of our service contracts together.
Okay. So we'll need to make a decision on that as we go into the decision here on the budget.
Well, the decision before the board is the funding level.
Yeah.
So it would be based on the funding level.
So
It was a
okay, so
90.
it'd just be automatic renewal.
Yes, because it was a 90-day notification.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so in terms of budget presentations, we still have one more to go, which is the Westchester Public Library. Is there someone here? Hello, welcome. You could come and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Maggie Stanton. I am the director of the Westchester Public Library. Thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you for being here.
And Maggie, I apologize, I don't know what's happening with PowerPoint, but I'm going to have to do the same thing I did with Good Fellowship.
I printed out for my eyes.
We have it, so we're good.
All right. So if you want to go to the next one, though. All right. So just some background on the library and our statistics. We serve a population of over 53,000. We had an increase of our cardholders as of August 28th this year of 17, almost 18%. Our checkouts for 2024 were over 140,000, with over 75,000 entering our building that year. We increased our programming by 101% to 490 programs, and we saw an increase of almost 70% of attendees at those events. And our total collection is over 46,000 physical materials. It does not include any of our e-materials. So our material services obviously include books, magazines, newspapers, anything print, but we also do have e-resources such as Libby, where you can download e-books, e-audio, and now digital magazines as well. We also have a video streaming service, Canopy, and you can just log on at home with your library card and watch movies for free. So. We also have databases such as Ancestry, New York Times, Mango Languages. Some do have to be used on site, others can be used at home. One of the better ones we like to use for the library is to go there and get the database for foundations that we can look at for fundraising. We also have DVDs, CDs, video games, and our newest collection is the 7-day rentals. Those are the most popular books with the highest demand holds. We make them non-holdable, so they're available on the shelf for 7 days, and to help raise a little revenue for the library, we do charge a small fee of $2.
And that is not a barrier for people using it, right? That fee doesn't put people off?
No, it's actually very similar to the Chester County Library System headquarters. They charge about a fee of $2 as well. Our programming services, we obviously offer story times for children. We had dance classes this year. There's even an annual royalty where Miss Westchester University comes and has a lovely tea with the children dressed up. We had the youth teen volunteer opportunities. This year we started one where teens would help seniors with computers, social media, and other online information they wanted. We also have adult lectures. We actually had one here on monarch butterfly. That was a huge success. And we also have it on Medicare, and we also had a finance one just this past September at our location. Our summer reading and events and programming, our adult summer bingo reading to encourage adults to read outside of their preferences was a huge success this year because we offer a free Kindle to a winner if they turn in their card at the end of the summer. And we also offering test proctoring services for a fee of about $25.
Do you partner with the Westchester Area School District to put on programs?
We do let them know about our summer reading programs to have the students come. That usually helps boost our attendance. We are looking to do a little bit more with them in the coming year of 2026. So we're actually looking at an author event, and we want to see about partnering with the school to have them actually come to the school and do a few workshops. So, technology, we obviously have computers, we have printers and copiers. We also have hotspots that patrons can borrow for a small fee. And our outdoor seating allows access to our Wi-Fi even when we are closed. We also have a library of things. Ours has board games, we have puzzle exchanges. We also have the popular museum passes. Most of those you can make the reservation online and print the pass at home and go to the location. Except for Longwood Gardens, they prefer a physical pass. So you have to come into the library and borrow it. And if you are interested in that pass, only 4 libraries in Chester County are sold it by Longwood. They make a very selective choice. And you have to get on at midnight to make the reservation because it goes out quick, especially around Christmas and Mother's Day. And we also have specialty cake pans. So if anybody is looking to make a special odd-shaped cake, you don't have to buy it, check with us first. So this is not possible without the continued support of the municipalities. And our funding, we actually get about a third from the municipalities, just over a third actually. A third we raise ourselves, and the rest comes from the state and the county through the library system funding formula. For just the service area, West Goshen represents 13% of the revenue. And that actually puts you guys at about $1.25 per capita. So, West Goshen also represents, sorry, my eyes are a little weird here, 26% of our cardholders and 25% of all the checkouts for our library.
So just so I understand this, so West Goshen residents are using about 26% of, you say 25?
They're using 20 of the municipality cardholders. 25% of the checkouts are coming from that.
Okay, and we provide you with 13% of your funding.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we are looking just to keep flat funding for 2026 at $1.25 because we did get the increase last year, and we are very thankful for that, and we just want to continue that relationship. So,
Well, thank you.
any questions?
So just so the board is aware, that calculates out on a per capita basis to $28,750. $28,750.
Is what is the, and then that per capita is the $1, what was it?
$1.25 per capita and a population of 23,004.
Yeah. And we're per capita contribution, we're relatively low compared to the other people who have a significant number of cards with you, right?
Yes, and Westchester is actually, we're a village with them,
Yeah.
so that's why their rate's much higher, so.
We appreciate your update. Is there any questions from the board? Is there anyone here with a question? Doug?
Do you have a comparison statistics how you compare with usage with the Hankin branch?
If you mean circulation, yes, we get that report monthly. I don't have it here, but if you want, I can get your information and let you know.
Okay, just let me know the usage compared to Exton Branch and New Branch with our residents.
With the residents, I don't have that number here, but I can get that for you if you'd like. But we're pretty much the primary location for West Goshen compared to Exton. We do check out more of the items at this location, but Chester County Exton is the headquarters. So a lot of their materials, they are able to purchase a lot more of them. So when they circulate, their count can be higher just because the book shows up at Westchester and is checked out to a resident here. However, we're doing the across the desk and they're doing the supplying of the material.
Do you have off-site parking?
Sadly, we don't. That's always been a problem. We do have just the regular street parking. Biddle, it's usually about a 2-hour parking limit before 5 o'clock. After 5, you can stay there longer.
I would just like to thank you for having the modern program. It was really well
Oh, I recognize you.
attended.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask if you would consider doing more because we have the facility, we have parking, and it was just well attended. There could be tons of things that could be happening here.
That's right here.
Well, actually, I've been working with the Westchester Gardening Club because they have a few master gardeners, including one who was a Longwood instructor, and we're planning to have 4 events in 2026 to make it a series of gardening, and I was trying to do it throughout the different municipalities, this being one of them. So I was going to reach out once that gets settled.
Excellent.
Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah, we use the library fairly extensively, and take grants on there for programs. I would like to see the township contribute a little more than just a flat rate. I mean, we look at the numbers, the 20%, 6% of the usage, and we're down to the bottom as far as the investments. I would think that at least maybe the cost of inflation, increase it at least that much every year. But I think we provide a great service to the community, and obviously our community is using the facility.
Thank you very much for your comments, Steve. It's a good point. Anybody else have a quick comment?
Do you do reading programs for the kids like here in the township building?
Well, we do them mostly at the main building, but this year during the summer when we did some of our programs, we try to do one in every park, at least one. I know that our youth librarian who does the teen programming, she was definitely working to go around to all the different ones, and she was working on a lot of gardening events for them.
So I would like to suggest to the board that when we get to our budget presentation in November, we have on as an item for discussion whether we should look at increasing the funding for Westchester Library. Would any board member object to having that as an agenda item? Yes, just a discussion, see what happens there. But based on when the budget all comes together, we see the full picture, we can look at what the situation is. Is that acceptable to the board?
Absolutely.
Yes, Chris, you just making note of that. Well, thank you very much for your presentation this evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
So for the time being, just so I can advise our finance director accordingly, is the board comfortable with using the numbers presented this evening from the 3 presenters for the preliminary budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone else okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. All right, we are on to agenda item number 5, discussion and possible approval of a holiday light display in West Goshen Community Park. Ken, thank you for being here and staying through the presentations. Usually we try to get you first on the agenda, but it didn't happen tonight. So. Chris, would you mind introducing this subject for the board?
Chairman. So I won't go over everything. I'll kind of defer to Ken on a lot of these items, but I'll introduce it. Ken's done a lot of work on this matter, and so have a couple members of the Board of Supervisors. So before the board this evening is possible approval of a proposed holiday light display in West Goshen Community Park. This proposed event was not included in the 2025 budget. Just to give the board some background information, over the summer, Ms. Gagne approached the Township's Park and Recreation Director, Mr. Lear, about this possible event. It was brought before the Park and Recreation Board at their meeting in July, who were very supportive. It was explained to them that the board will need to approve this since the cost is unbudgeted. So what they did was they formed a small subcommittee that consisted of members of the Board of Supervisors, was Ms. Gagne and Ms. Smith, and members of the Park and Recreation Board. And they had a few meetings to sort of iron out what would be involved. So I outlined a lot of the cost information that Ken has been able to get related to some estimates that he received from 2 vendors. I'm just going to note a few items here. The estimates outlined are based on the research that Ken received from 2 companies. The lighting for the gazebo and the pathway are proposed to be fairly basic and do not incorporate some of the ideas that the subcommittee brought forth that we don't have pricing for. So that's for the large sum under miscellaneous. We'll note that there was a recent meeting and our Assistant Public Works Director did attend and didn't seem concerned about constructing the proposed arches. Entertainment for the opening night would consist of a brass quartet and children's holiday specials projected on the township's large screen. We own the projection equipment, so there would be no added expense. And while the public would buy food from concession vendors, we would include $1,000 in case the vendors need any sales guarantees to participate, or if the board wishes to subsidize some of the food items. So I did review the 2025 budget, and I do believe that this can be accomplished. We've currently spent around 57% of the allocated budget for the recreation program, and this includes the items such as bus trips, movies in the park, and other various activities throughout the year. And I'll note that this does not, we still have a few major events to pay out before the end of the year, such as the Harvest Festival, the annual holiday decorating workshop, and the bus trip to Radio City Music Hall. I also analyzed the last 6 years of the Recreation Department budget, and Ken does a great job managing his department's budget, and it always comes in under budget. That being said, I do believe that this would be a valuable event to add, and that it would be welcomed by the community at large. We are respectfully requesting from the board authorization to proceed forward with a not-to-exceed amount of $18,500. This line item will most likely go over budget, but I believe that this is a good cause to do that.
I just wanted to add that the tree lighting and the quartet and all that will be the one night on November 21st, but the display will be the entire month of December.
I believe the dates were going to be, what, the Saturday after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it would be November 21st, the lights would be in place by, and then they would come down the first week of January.
Will this also include a Kwanzaa candelabra and menorah?
Yeah, we had talked about that with the committee. We want it to be as non-specific as possible. So there won't be any holiday displays of, say, snowmen, Santa's sleigh, anything like that. It will be, basically we're shooting for just white lights to display, to light up the park, with the centerpiece being the gazebo. So the gazebo will be lit, the pathway to the gazebo will be lit, and we will have lights coming down from a tree down the hillside at this side of the amphitheater towards the pathway.
Archways coming through the path.
Correct.
Like archways.
Longwood Gardens, they don't do like holiday specific decorations, do they? I haven't been. I guess they might. They do trees and stuff.
Yeah,
but
but Christmas
but the
display.
tree,
Do they call it Christmas display, Christmas tree name?
And I think, yeah, I should correct myself in that we were talking about by the gazebo having a Christmas tree that would be lit.
In other words, it'd be non-denominational, basically.
we want it to be mostly about the lights.
Correct.
Kind of just a light, winter light display, so.
Was this the genesis of this idea, another municipality that did a light display that's been seen by somebody that was really good?
There's
Rose
Rose
Tree.
Park, who Ken, I know, had some discussions with, right?
Yeah, and that's of a scale that we're not contemplating. That is a drive-through. They used federal funding after COVID to purchase all the supplies, and they spend $10,000 a year just on electricians to set it up and take it down. So that's a scale that we're not going to be discussing.
And how long will the lights be on? Are they on all night long, or are they cut off at?
No, what we are looking at is keeping the lights on from 5 p.m., approximately sunset, until 9 p.m. And this is out of respect to the neighbors of Fresh Meadow across the street. We don't want people coming, at late hours. We figured that 9 was a reasonable cutoff.
Were you planning on any other events besides, I see you have entertainment for opening night? Any other events planned during that period of time?
Just the opening night. In the future, we might be able to look at adding, maybe something, a Christmas market day or something. I shouldn't say Christmas, holiday market day.
Yeah.
But no, it would just be that one for this year.
Again, this is, really just sort of the pilot
Mhm.
program, and we want to see how it goes, how many people show up, what issues
How much it
you might-
costs.
how much it
But
costs.
the community interest is.
If the community interest is right, and I think our group, our subcommittee has come up with a lot of ideas that if we choose to continue this year after year, that we can introduce, like Ken said, more events maybe, we don't know, but this would just be a light display where people can come and see the lights. I think
Yeah.
it would be really nice.
Ken, in terms of the budget, you say this is likely, if we spend this money on this particular light display, it could drive you over budget, is that correct? I mean, you're not talking a significant amount of budget, right?
Yeah, we are under budget, which typically the Park and Recreation Department is at this time of year. So the bulk of this would be, well, hopefully we could get as much as possible under what is already allocated for Parks and Recreation, just has not been spent.
Yeah,
But it is possible that it could take, it's slightly over.
okay.
So just so that, I believe that as of when I prepared this, there was about, I want to say about $15,000 remaining in that budget, so.
After the expenses of the upcoming bus trips, or before?
Before. I don't know off the top of my head what the expenses are for the bus trip for like Radio City, the Holiday Decorating Workshop, and the Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
If I were to guess,
It-
7,000.
I was gonna say, it's gonna be probably at least half of that,
Okay.
would be the expenses for that.
And Ken, you also said this is kind of the time of year where it's a little quiet in the Parks and Rec department, right?
That is correct. I will say, certainly December, we have a burst of activity between holiday craft workshop, breakfast with Santa, bus trips, so forth. But November, usually there is not a whole lot of activity with the Park and Recreation Department.
Those would be good things to do. Yep.
I think it's a great idea because, I never thought of going to the park in a early winter's evening in December. If it's lit up and attractive and pretty, then certainly go and take a walk. So I think it's a good idea myself personally.
Just curious, Ken, where did you get the prices for these items, like for the lighting, for the gazebo and pathway lighting?
Yeah, thank you to the Board of Supervisors for allowing me to participate in the National Recreation Park Association Conference in September. I was able to talk to a few vendors there. Two of them in particular, a company called Wintergreen and a company called Winterlights. I have been in touch with, I have gotten price quotes. I have gotten price quotes from a third company, which was considerably more expensive, so it's primarily based on those two companies.
So you got some multiple vendors.
Correct.
for these numbers.
We're also having an electrician come out, right, to the park?
Yeah, the Public Works Department was looking at having an electrician come to look at the lights in the park. So while they are coming, they are also asking the electrician if it will be possible to add some outlets to some of the light fixtures that we have.
I'm just going to say, if you're going to have a Christmas tree, that's pretty specific to a certain religion, excluding a menorah and the Kwanzaa candelabra. I just don't think that's right.
Okay.
We wouldn't be excluding anything.
Well, then what do you have?
I don't, again, this is all up for discussion, it's not about
Right.
holiday, it's about lights.
But it's about a Christmas tree also. It says a Christmas tree right here, a star for a tree.
We can have the discussion, we can have a discussion about, if we want holiday things in there. This is all preliminary, just coming to the board to
Right.
look at it.
Nate, are you suggesting you would like to say to the board that you don't want to have any symbol of religion involved in this light display?
You either acknowledge that it is religious in connotation, or you don't have any. I have no problem with the lights.
Okay. That's a fair comment. I don't know what other options you have around it, making sure there is still plenty of lights available to, make it an attractive display if the Christmas tree is not included in the scope of the work. But I'm sure you can come up with
Yeah,
something.
that could be considered.
Okay. So is a board member willing to make a motion to have a holiday light display for a not to exceed amount of $18,500, excluding any religious symbols, including a Christmas tree?
Well, okay, I think that we need to have, I don't
think
want to
that's
open a can of
decided yet.
worms here, okay, but I'm not going to say we're excluding a quote-unquote Christmas tree. If you put
Well,
lights
that's
on a
what's in-
tree,
that's in
if
the-
you put lights on
I
a tree,
said it
is
because
it
it's
a Christmas?
included in the cost that I just
I
gave.
know, but I'm just saying, this town has evolved into a much broader discussion about the kinds of things that would be at the park. And I just want to I don't want to vote on something that's excluding anything right now, because I don't think that we've even gotten there.
I'm not saying there's a problem with lights on a tree, but if you put the star on the tree, that takes it to another level.
And again, I don't even know that we have that level of depth of discussion, so I'm not sure I'm comfortable saying
Okay,
that we're not gonna have Christmas trees.
I'll withdraw the motion. Did we make a motion? I
You
didn't.
made the motion.
I didn't, I just read it.
Right.
You were about to, so, let's go. We can agree to a holiday display of a not to exceed amount, but you would have to come back to get approval of the specifics of it if we do that. Is that okay with the board?
Yeah.
Well, and it's also protected by the law. I mean, yeah, I think you can always put a display in a public forum of your religious beliefs. That's protected by the law. So it's not for us to decide. But,
Well, they were saying they should be more inclusive.
If someone wants to put a Christmas tree up,
Okay.
they can.
So again, I'm saying we're going to approve a holiday light display for a not to exceed amount, and then Ken will come back with a specific design of what's intended to be used. Is that okay?
Yes, that's
Okay,
fair.
so is there a board member willing to make a motion for a holiday light display not to exceed $18,500?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Nate. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ashley. Is there any public comment or question about the motion? Doug?
The 18,500, is that coming from a separate budget than the actual parks budget where we purchase capital equipment from?
It's not capital equipment, it's from the parks operating budget that is currently running probably a little bit under budget for the year, but the amount of this holiday display, to Ken's point, we'd likely push it over the budget, so that's why we're approving it tonight. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. The budget is allocated in two separate parts. There is a section for the recreation program that Ken and Tom run with our summer camp program and all the activities that they do. And there's a separate section related to the maintenance of our park facilities, which is done by the Public Works Department. So we're talking about the recreation component of it. It has nothing to do with any capital equipment or maintenance or anything like that, except for potentially the electrical upgrades that Ken was talking about earlier.
Other questions? Yes, Bob?
Is this a free event, and since it's close to
Yeah.
over a month away,
No, that-
are we gonna have advertising, or how are you
But
gonna?
yes. First of all, it would be a free event.
Soup can or something like that?
It would be one where, well, I mean, I don't think we'd even ask for donations or anything like that because it's just going to be open to the public. It will be walk-through, so there won't be anything lit that people would be driving. They would park their car, they would walk through it. In terms of the kickoff event, that would be free as well. Now, we are talking about food vendors and people would be buying their food from the food vendors. But other than that, the other activities there would be free.
And how are you gonna advertise it?
Yeah, we would be advertising it with our monthly newsletter that we have. I have been in touch with Dandelion Digital about that, and they would be ready to start advertising once we have all the details in place.
And our social media as well, you use that.
Yep.
But, yeah. Other questions for anyone? Steve?
Yeah, they do something like this down at Rose Street Park.
That's what we mentioned that.
And they have a Christmas holiday market, and it's huge. You can't get near the place. But I also, will you be able to reuse a lot of the lighting you buy?
Yeah, we would be able to reuse them each year. And I just want to emphasize, we are not looking at the Rose Tree model. We did contact, prior to all this, numerous park and recreation departments that have light shows. And we definitely don't want that scale because quite frankly, King Park's in a residential neighborhood and we don't want to put that on the neighbors. So that is partly the logistics of King Park, but also a large reason why it would be a walk-through instead of a drive-through. So that way, you're not going to have the lineup of cars waiting to go through.
Any other questions? Okay, well, we have a motion. We are ready to take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Okay, next is agenda item number 6, which is discussion and possible approval of a request for a waiver of land development for Westchester University's Tanglewood property located at UPI number 52-5P-46, whatever that means.
100 East Road.
There you go.
Mr. Chairman, when I punched in the UPI number in Chesco Views, it came up with a large parcel that had frontage on both Rosedale and High Street, so I used the UPI number to clarify things.
Well, thank you for your patience waiting for this agenda item. Obviously, you gentlemen are here to hopefully tell us a little bit about this, and I'm going to let Chris introduce it, and then we'll hand it over to you for any further conversation.
Mr. Chairman, before the board this evening is a request for a waiver of land development for Westchester University for their Tanglewood property located on Rosedale Avenue. The university is seeking to improve the property with the installation of a 1,750 square foot patio and a new 260 square foot walkway. There will also be a corresponding stormwater management system installed due to the size of the improvements. Under the township's definition of land development, which incorporates certain improvements, this would typically require land development. I provided a waiver request letter from the applicant and a plan outlining the proposed improvements. The university has submitted a zoning and a grading, drainage, and erosion control permit application to the township, 2 separate applications, excuse me, which are currently under review. I've spoken about this with both the township engineer and our zoning officer, and we believe that this could be adequately handled in the permitting process given the nature of the project. So, Matt, if you tell me what you would like me to put up first, I have everything ready to go.
Chris, thank you. I think the site plan for proposed improvements might be a good idea. And we also have a zoomed out aerial view and a zoomed in aerial view. If anybody would like a bird's eye view of the Tanglewood property, I'm sure most of you are familiar with it driving by.
Is this what you were referring to?
That is what I'm referring to, yes.
Is that the president's property?
It is.
Okay.
And after a somewhat recent renovation, it's also been increasingly used for exhibits, event spaces, fundraising events.
Does the president live there?
I believe that, no, apparently not.
Oh, because Chris did. Chris lived there.
Yeah, no, Lori doesn't.
Yeah.
But this is just to stress, just a proposed patio and a walkway. And before we get into specifics of what it is, maybe it would also be helpful to say what it doesn't require. Because in my experience, anytime you bring a proposal, any new construction to a township, one of the biggest concerns is what's the impervious coverage, what's the stormwater concern. And I have with me tonight, Doug Hopkins, who is a project manager in the university's design and facilities department and a licensed architect. This meets all area bulk requirements for the zoning district, so no zoning relief would actually be needed. We are well under maximum impervious cover. We meet all setback requirements for the proposed patio and walkway, and nothing about the proposed, Doug confirmed to me that the proposed improvements would not trigger any either simplified or standard stormwater management requirements. The relative size.
Just to ask you a question on that.
Yes.
So you're saying the impervious surface is less than whatever it is, 500 square feet, the addition that therefore doesn't require a stormwater assessment under the simplified approach. Is that correct?
Well, that was my understanding was that we did not need stormwater approval for the project.
You mean an NPDES permit?
Well, not an NPDES permit, but I was also under the impression we were not required to do a stormwater management plan for
Did Brian relay that to you?
I'm going off of talking with
Well, there was a grading in the event campus permit application.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, that is grading, yes. A zoning and grading permit, which would be part of the process. I apologize, I was, I think, thinking of a separate project. Clearly, we're over 500 square feet.
Yes.
We would not require NPDS at all.
No, because I don't think you're disturbing an acre there.
Exactly, and as you can see, although when you drive by the property, it appears to be a very generous sized plot, it's actually far bigger than that. It's 11 acres. It includes a lot of property behind the building as well.
If you look at the aerial imagery on the property, which is why I use the UPI, it includes the parking lot behind there, as well as, I believe, the music school is also in that UPI.
Can you just orient me on, yeah, where is Rosedale on this?
Rosedale would be facing, would be to the north.
To the top?
Yes.
So that's Rosedale Avenue up there?
Yes.
The property's here, and then what is the new construction that's proposed?
The new construction would be,
This walkway?
as Chris is pointing out with the laser right there, and the
patio.
oval patio. Although it stands out in the southeast corner of the building, that red brick patio on the southeast corner of the building is pre-existing. I don't believe we're actually doing any kind of improvement there. So although that pops out in the colors, that's just an existing improvement that.
Would have said red was additional in your note or on your letter or somewhere.
I think we were pointing out that it's not part of it.
I just gotta check it. Go ahead. Keep talking, it's fine.
Yes, the patio on the southeast corner of the building shown in red is pre-existing.
That would be that.
So, yes, correct, thank you, Chris. This would just be used in conjunction with the property's increasing use as a event and exhibition space, fundraising events, which includes, of course, a lot of outdoor use, cocktail hours, dinners, exhibitions like that. It is overall compliant, again, with all area bulk for the property, so we would not be going in front of the zoning hearing board relative to the overall size of the property, and the fact that we don't believe this would have any negative impact on the surrounding area. I myself actually used to, until Labor Day this year, used to live probably 2 blocks from this building. It's an improvement that would not alter the characteristics of the neighborhood. It is very much part of the overall Westchester campus. And although it does become in the vicinity of residential properties, this is, of course, going to be used in conjunction with all of the relevant ordinances relating to use, timing, noise, all of that. So it's really just a patio and a walkway. So we would respectfully request that the land development requirement be waived, just because, as I'm sure everybody sitting on the board and Chris certainly knows, land development can be a very long process, even for relatively straightforward projects. And relative to the overall impact and the fact that we really don't believe this would have any negative impact on the zoning district or neighboring properties, we would respectfully request the waiver of land development.
Question for you. All this here and all throughout, these are all existing bushes and trees, is that correct?
That's right.
Are you planning on adding anything to that?
Currently, we're not adding any vegetation.
Pardon?
The only planting we were planning on adding was a tree in that green circle above. That's the only.
I mean, around this area here?
Right.
So that would actually be part of the patio.
Is there any, you removing vegetation, trees to erect the patio?
Currently, that
is
grass
grass
area,
area.
open grass area.
So just, it follows all the stormwater requirements that are required, it complies with them.
Yes, and I apologize, Ms. Gunning, I misspoke earlier. We will be proceeding through all applicable stormwater requirements. It was just that the NPDS, which is what I was thinking of, does not apply because we are under acre of disturbance. So any applicable stormwater management ordinance provisions will course, that'll have to be reviewed by the township engineer before permits are issued. As I think Chris pointed out, those are under review now, so that's certainly part of the process is consideration of any stormwater impact. So, in other words, nothing would be built until the township engineer is satisfied that stormwater has been properly mitigated.
Is there any large lighting that's going to be going up around the patio area, like spotlights or any type of lighting that's
I don't
intrusive?
have any information on that, but certainly that would be a separate permit application that would have to go through the permitting process and go before Shelby and Chris.
Shelby.
I'm sorry, Shelby and Chris.
No, Shelby and Brian.
Sorry, Shelby and Brian.
Chris doesn't get involved in that.
Is this a pool? What is that right there?
That's a tree.
Oh, that's a tree, okay.
I'll make the motion to approve a waiver from land development for this property for this project.
Thank you, Ashley. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Nate. Is there any public comment or question about the motion? Doug?
You just said, is it 1,700 square feet?
I can't hear you, Doug. Could you speak to?
You said it's 1,700 square feet?
The patio would be 17,050 square feet, and then there would be a 260 square foot walkway.
1,750.
Sorry,
Yeah.
1,750.
And this is going to be paved? Is it going to be impervious surface?
Yes, it would be paved. But again, well under the impervious max requirements for the zoning district.
And you may have lighting there? There'll be electric and lighting in there?
I don't believe that, to be honest, I don't have that information. That's not part of this plan, but if there were to be, as I just told the board, that would be a separate permit that the township would have to review, approve. So if there were any outdoor lighting, that would be something that would be absolutely subject to township oversight review.
Is there are you in a rush to do this?
I mean, we would like to, I think we would certainly like to get it done.
My opinion would be to do land development.
Okay, Doug, thank you. I've got a question with the architect. So what is the patio surface? Are you just talking a concrete patio? Is it going to have tile on it? Is it going to be attractive? What kind of finish are you going to have? Is it a brick patio? What is it?
It's a combination of scored concrete and paved brick.
Pavers? Okay. Any other questions? Steve?
I agree with Doug.
Okay, is there a basis for your believing it needs to go through land development?
You know, I'm assuming by you not doing, or letting it go down land development, it won't come in front of the planning commission.
That is correct.
That's why.
Okay. And just to press the point with you, Steve, what issues do you think the planning commission would have with this that the board has not been raising?
Well, I don't think the presentation kind of gives us a whole view of where it's going. I mean, maybe I can get a 10,000-foot view. I'm not even sure where this is in relationship to the university. So Rosedale Avenue, where is it the residence?
It's at 100 East Rosedale Avenue.
So if you're between if you're between
Chris,
High
could you call up Rosedale Avenue on Google Maps?
Are you familiar with that property, Steve? Probably are, right?
I know where that area is, but
It's like, it's gated too, right?
is it on the president's
Is it
property?
gated?
The president's?
Yes, they're gated.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's right along the street there, and I actually, just from recalling in my memory, wasn't aware that there was that much of a front yard, I guess there is. And it's all grass?
Yeah, it surprisingly escapes notice of a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
pretty modest because the house is, set back from the street. It's not particularly imposing despite being a kind of a majestic building, really.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on, okay. So it's behind the president's house, is that what this is all?
It'll be in front.
In front of the house?
Yeah, and I think, are there bushes along the sidewalk? Where the gate is? Yeah, I mean, if you were to walk
There
past
it
that
is.
now, Steve,
So it will be
Right there.
generally in this area right here.
Is that correct? I want to just confirm that is where it will be, right?
So this is the existing house. This is I believe this is what's highlighted in red.
No, it's the little,
Or
right
it's this
there,
right
that
here.
little bit right there is the red
Okay,
bit.
I apologize. This is the garage. I believe there's like a separate maintenance garage or something like that on the property. But and then There's tree lines along Matlack Street, so it's roughly halfway between High Street, which is out about here, and the bend in the road at the edge, which is just past Maine Fire Company.
I withdraw. I know where it is.
Is this detached from the house?
The house is here. The proposal is a walkway that will come across about this way, and then the patio right here.
They do a lot of events there, I think, right?
Yep.
This would be a good spot for them to be able to.
And as I stated earlier, let me just zoom out. This is the entire parcel that UPI number represents. So this is 100 Rosedale, and I believe this is the music school.
Is that where the modular housing is?
Those are right here.
Okay.
And that is deep down, it's got 11 acres.
Right. The whole property's on that, one side of it's on that.
Yeah,
Also, as
so-
Ms. Gagne pointed out earlier, although this will be, in front of the property facing Rosedale Avenue, there is existing sort of vegetative screening so that it's really not going to have a lot of visual impact on passersby.
I can just say for myself, I drive past that property twice a day, and it is very well screened.
I mean, it's one location. I'm just curious, why didn't you have it on the quieter side of the property facing the parking lot?
A question that is above my pay grade,
Oh,
Mr.
sure.
Walsh, but I'm sure there are reasons.
Okay.
So architectural line, from an architectural standpoint,
More about arrival.
arrival, people arriving.
Yes, and a lot of, there's being elderly, mobility issues. It's right up the driveway, you're able to exit your vehicle and go right on the patio.
Makes sense, thank you. Any other questions? Doug?
I would still do land development because lighting, stormwater, and just get public input at the planning commission.
Okay, well, we do have stormwater. That was part of what has to be complied with as part of Brian's review of it,
I would still
and
do,
so does lighting.
I would still do land development.
Okay,
That's my opinion.
thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion from Ashley. Was there a second? I forget. Thank you, Nate. So we're ready to take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your time.
Matt will send you a letter tomorrow.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Okay, agenda item number 7 is discussion and possible approval of resolution number 31, 2025, approving an intergovernmental cooperation agreement between West Goshen Township and Westchester Borough for the maintenance of Balmar Street, Goshen Road, and Rosedale Avenue. Chris, would you mind introducing this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So before the board this evening, is proposed resolution number 31-2025. This resolution would approve an intergovernmental cooperation agreement between West Goshen Township and Westchester Borough. The proposed agreement would cover the maintenance responsibilities for Balmar Street, Goshen Road, and Rosedale Avenue. Currently, a formal written agreement does not currently exist. However, this agreement is intended to document the existing arrangement. For some background information, our Director of Public Works, Mark Bertolami, has been working to have formal intergovernmental agreements established with neighboring municipalities. In 2024, the board approved an agreement with East Goshen Township pertaining to Ellis Lane and Airport Road. This agreement follows a similar format. Please be advised that formal agreements are required to utilize liquid fuels funds to pay for the paving of these roads if they're needed in the future. Additionally, Westchester Borough did approve the agreement that is before the board this evening at their meeting on September 16, 2025. And Mark did work with the team at Westchester Borough as well as our solicitor, Kristen Camp, to prepare what's in front of the board this evening.
So this has been reviewed by the solicitor, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And actually, I will, for the audience, give me 1 second. I'll pull up. So these are the areas that are discussed in the agreement. Let me just zoom in real quick. So we have the areas in blue are going to be part of West Goshen Township's maintenance responsibilities.
Can you zoom in a little bit more, Chris?
Yes, I apologize. So we're really talking about, I'm just going to go around real quick. So here we have Goshen Road between Marshall Street and Pottstown Pike. So the areas in blue on the map will be maintained by West Goshen, and the areas in orange will be maintained by Westchester Borough, and then the corresponding liquid fuels funding based on the length of the road would be provided to the respective municipalities. Then all of the intersection signals are maintained by Westchester Borough. I believe they're currently permitted by Westchester Borough, except for the one on Gay Street. That is our responsibility.
Chris, question, how will the liquid fuels program funds distributed before we'll execute this agreement?
It was all on our map based on like the understanding that existed. This will formalize that understanding, and it really needs to be in place if we're going to use those funds to maintain these roads. Because what occurred in 2024 was Mark had planned to do, I believe it was Airport Road, and we didn't have any kind of written agreement with East Goshen Township for Airport Road as to how that would be utilized. Mark worked with Kristen and East Goshen, got that in place. So now he's working through all of our other municipal partners.
Well, I guess my question is, were we getting liquid fuels funds for these roads before this?
It's my understanding we were. Okay. But it's a question of utilization when the time comes.
Okay.
Other questions from the board?
Well, any other question I have, are there any, well, this is West Goshen, we dealt with East Goshen, are there any other roads that we share with other municipalities besides those two?
East Bradford and West Whiteland.
So we're going to have to address that also.
Mark is going one at a time.
Okay.
And
I want to just make sure I commend him for being diligent in moving these forward.
I had one question on the agreement, and presumably it's just the same language that was in the agreement with East Goshen, but I was a little confused when I read it. So it's number 8, police power. It says the municipalities shall be entitled to enforce their local ordinances and the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on those portions of the public roads located within their respective jurisdictions. So if our police are on Balmar Street and there's an issue with someone driving on the Westchester allocated part of the road, they can't enforce something on that driver or vehicle?
Unfortunately, I can't answer that question, but police powers also can mean local ordinances that are enforced outside of the police department.
The maintenance agreement, it doesn't change ownership.
Oh, police, I see what you're saying. It's not about the police, it's about the ordinance. So which way you use the word police?
I was going to say the maintenance, this is for the maintenance of the roads.
Correct, yeah.
So it doesn't change the actual,
Police.
like where they are within the
Yes.
Yeah, I had something, maybe you can't answer it because it's really a legal matter, but on the maintenance and certain public roads, right after West Goshen Township, it should have in parentheses Township. Or when you get into the document, it should list West Goshen Township. As an example, in number 3, it just says the township. So we need a definition for what township is, or you list it every time.
It's there. It's on intergovernmental cooperation agreement. It's under.
Yeah, it's in the opening paragraph.
That's what's applied.
It's in the opening
West
paragraph.
Goshen.
West Goshen Township, Township organizing the laws of et cetera, et cetera, then parentheses township.
I missed that because I thought it should be up here. Okay.
Yeah, it's defined in the intro.
Okay.
And I'm clear now, the police power is not about police enforcing laws, it's about our ordinances associated with the roads.
Right.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
No.
Very good. Is a board member willing to make a motion to approve resolution number 31, 2025?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Tina. Is there any public comment or question? Very good. We'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Next is agenda item number 8, which is discussion and possible ratification of electricity supply agreements for certain West Goshen Township electricity accounts through the CoStar's Energy Procurement Program.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to introduce these?
If you don't mind, Chris.
My pleasure. So before the board this evening is ratification of the electricity supply agreements for certain accounts of West Goshen Township. The accounts that are before the board pertain to the township's pump stations, West Goshen Community Park and the skate park on Pottstown Pike. The bids were open on September 15th through the CoStar's Energy Procurement Program. The results were as follows. For the Pico region, NRG Energy at a rate of 8.788 cents per kilowatt hour and a contract term for 2 years, so January 1st, 2026 through January 31st, 2027. The electricity for these accounts is currently supplied through WGL Energy at a current rate of 7.79 cents per kilowatt hour. So the new rate does represent an increase of under 1 cent per kilowatt hour. The Pico price to compare that was provided was 8.829 cents per kilowatt hour. I'll let the board know that on a 2-year contract, this aligns all the township's smaller electricity accounts on the same schedule.
So in terms of that, so when you say the smaller accounts, so the buildings here on a different schedule than these pump stations, etc.
So our large facilities, which would be the municipal complex plus the wastewater treatment plant, they were already on a 2-year contract that'll end at the end of 2026.
Okay.
So they're a little bit outside of it. So this will be all of our
Other
pump
accounts.
stations, street lights.
Is there any third grouping, or is it just these two?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
Now, I did send these to Mike Maffa just to let him know. He did point out to me that the 2 new pump stations that were recently dedicated over on Greystone weren't included, so I will get with CoStars about what we're going to do with those, because we did update the information to include those on our list with CoStars, so I'll have to check with them on that one.
Okay.
But this is everything else.
Everything else, okay. So that increase is a 12.8% increase in cost, so this is confirmation that electricity prices are going up in Pennsylvania. This is a CoStar's bid program where you're involved with a bid process with other municipalities and their needs, and this is a competitive rate, but it is increased over what we were previously paying. Okay, I will make a motion.
Well, I have a
Any question? Go ahead.
I have a question, because at our September 2nd board meeting, we approved WGL Energy. They were awarded the agreement for streetlight lighting electricity through the CoStar's program, and the rate they quoted us is 0.05431 cents per kilowatt hour, and here we're getting a quote for 0.8788 kilowatt per hour. Why is there a discrepancy between the 2 rates?
Well, the streetlights are billed at a residential rate, so these are not billed at a residential rate from what I understand. So, and it just
has to
depends
do
on
with the use?
Well, it has to do with the use, and it also has to do with the market climate at the time. These electricity rates change almost daily.
It's a significant increase, though, from just a few weeks.
Well, it's a different, like Chris says, a different rate that's applied in the bid process.
And unfortunately, is participating in this program, which we've been doing since, I believe, December of 2022, we give the control over to CoStars and just ratify things. If the board wishes to change that, we can, but for right now, we're part of this program, which as we've gone throughout the years, it's fluctuated, and we've seen savings and we've seen increases.
That's right. Okay, so I will make a motion to ratify the electricity supply agreement for West Goshen Township certain electricity accounts to the CoStar's procurement program in the amount of 8.788 cents per kilowatt hour with NRG Energy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Actually, is there any public comment or questions? Doug?
What's the existing rate, Chris?
The existing rate is 7.79 cents per kilowatt hour, so it was an increase of just under 1 cent per kilowatt hour.
That's the best they could do.
It's a competitive bidding process, and they award it based on the best price that's received.
So in your experience, do we do better being in CoStars versus out of CoStars?
As I said, it fluctuates.
Any other questions? Steve?
Just a comment, I think you're going to see a significant decrease with the solar system coming online for this building. We've already started to see the savings.
It'll be an offset.
It'll be a big offset.
Well, it's going to reduce our consumption. It's not, we're still going to have to pay for what we import, and those prices are going up. So hopefully it'll have.
Just make sure investments are valuable.
Of course, because now we'll get a quicker return on the investment, because the payback will be quicker because the price is going up.
And if you want to see what the system's doing, the monitor is functioning downstairs and you can see everything that's being generated.
Thank you, Chris.
So the rates we're increasing, we're paying, are going to apply to the power we're selling back on to the grid from the solar?
No, not with this.
Not from this particular bid.
No.
Remember, this is a different set of accounts than this municipal complex. Any other questions? Okay, I'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 9 is discussion and possible ratification of the 2026 multiple municipal bid for roadway de-icing salt. Chris, would you mind introducing this one?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So before the board this evening is ratification of the 2026 multi-municipal bid for roadway de-icing salt. The bid is handled by Goshen Township, and Goshen Township has participated annually. The apparent low bidder is Eastern Salt Company at a rate of $76.90 per ton. This represents an 18.3% increase compared to 2025, which is an $11.90 per ton increase. I provided the bid tabulations that Goshen Township provided to us. The township does also participate in the CoStarz program for the purchase of roadway de-icing salt. Speaking with our Director of Public Works, he estimates that the township would probably purchase around 700 tons of roadway salt through the multi-municipal contract bid out by Goshen Township. However, unlike participation in the CoStarz program, the township is not obligated to purchase anything through this contract. Traditionally, we've made our purchases through the CoStarz contract first, since we're obligated to take 60% of what we say to reserve for us, which this year would be 1,000 tons. Mark has advised that the township salt shed is approximately 70% full currently. As it pertains to Eastern Salt Company, who was the low bidder for the 2025 contract, Mark has advised that they were good to work with and there weren't any issues in receiving delivery. So we do recommend ratification and continued participation.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, so we've currently got 700 tons on hand. We're obligated.
We have 70, I don't know the tonnage of
70%.
We have 70% of our salt shed full.
Looking at the wrong number. 70% of our shed is full. We're obligated to take 1,000 tons from the CoStarz procurement. And once we've done that, we can take up to 700 tons at this price from Eastern Salt if needed.
We can purchase as much as we want from Eastern Salt. Mark just estimates that we would buy 700 tons from Eastern Salt.
So this price is good for whatever we take from them.
Correct.
Okay. If we have a reduced demand winter season, then we are still obligated with 1,000 tons from CoStarz.
Buy our 1,000 tons and store it.
You're totally full. Okay.
Now, Mark did tell me that he is using some areas in the salt shed for storage while we're doing our stormwater project, so that's kind of like diminished his ability to store things here at the municipal complex, but as we finish up those projects, it'll clear up some more.
Okay. Any other questions?
So we got two options. Eastern Salt is $76.90 a ton, and CoStarz $84.69 a ton.
Well, we buy from CoStarz first, and then we switch over to Eastern Salt.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there a board member willing to make a motion to ratify the 2026 multi-municipal bid for roadway de-icing salt to procure from Eastern Salt Company at an FOB price of $76.90 a ton?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any public comment or questions? Doug?
Possible to get it for less?
This is the lowest bid.
Is that lowest?
The other bidders were $86 and $80, Morton Salt, Riverside Construction Materials. Who participated? I'm sorry, Chris, who participated in the multi-municipal bid? Did you say that already?
I don't remember the municipalities off the top of my head, but Goshen Township handles this for the group.
We handled one of the other one, I forget what one we handled.
We handled the line painting.
The line painting. Okay, Brad?
Sorry, yeah, just for clarification. So the 700 is only, we're not obligated to buy 700, it's just if we need it, right?
No, that's correct.
Just want to clarify. And
Yeah, when I asked our public works director, I asked him what he estimated purchasing through this contract, and Mark told me about 700 tons.
And we have enough to store, if we're 70% full, we have to take another 1,000 from CoStar. We have enough space to cover that currently.
assuming we have absolutely no snow this winter, potentially. We also have other storage areas and yards in the township where we can store things. Mark's a good judge of that.
Well, he generally structures it so he knows kind of what we're going to use as a minimum as part of the CoStar's offtake, and then he needs that extra room for knowing what he's going to pay for if it's a bad winter season. He needs a lot more salt.
Okay. Sorry, last question, and I could probably look this up in budget. I mean, you're talking about $85,000. I guess is that it's all accounted for in the budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Just curious. Thanks.
I forget what our budget is for total salt and the brine and all the rest of it.
I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I did ask Mark about the natural de-icing bid because we haven't done that in a few years, and he said we're still well stocked and he's not planning to do another one this year.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 10 is discussion and possible approval of the 2025 Foreign Fire Relief Distribution to Good Fellowship Ambulance Company, Goshen Volunteer Fire Company, and Westchester Fire Company. Chris, would you introduce this one, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So on September 17th, 2025, the township received the 2025 Foreign Fire Relief Funds from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in the amount of $243,814.32 and deposited these funds into the general fund. In accordance with Act 205, distribution of these funds are to be made to the fire relief associations of the fire companies servicing West Goshen Township within 60 days receipt of the funds. As in years past, these funds will be allocated on the same percentage basis, which is Good Fellowship will receive 12.5%, Goshen Volunteer Fire Company will receive 50%, and Westchester Fire Department will receive 37.5%. So in terms of a dollar amount, it would be $30,476.79 going to Good Fellowship, $121,907.16 going to Goshen Fire Company, and $91,430.37 going to Westchester Fire Department. I will note that earlier this year we did do an analysis to this distribution, discussed it with the Fire and EMS Coalition, and it was determined that the allocation should remain the same.
Do you remember what the basis was for the proportion then?
Well, we looked at, I don't know what the original basis was, but we looked at call volume in this analysis, and it would have been a significant restructuring.
I think originally it was 50-50.
Yes.
The Goshen Fire Company did 50% of the township, exactly a little bit less than that, and then Goshen Fire and GFAC did the other part. So that's how they split up the other 50% between GFAC and Westchester Volunteer.
It was significantly different when Chris ran the numbers from what's here. Based on that conversation we have with the coalition, is that
this money is associated with certain activities, right? It can't be just put into that general.
That's correct. There's a fire relief association, and there are laws in which how it can be spent. The fire relief association determines that. They spend it on things like life insurance policies for firefighters, certain equipment purchases, training, things like that.
Okay.
And just for the record, could you explain where the foreign fire relief funds come from?
It comes from insurance premiums for fire insurance outside of the outside the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Did I get all that right, Steve?
You got it.
Okay. After 17 years, I'm learning.
So I'll make a motion to approve the Foreign Fire Relief Funds distribution to Good Fellowship, Goshen Volunteer, and Westchester Volunteer Fire Companies as described.
I second that.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Is there any public comment or questions? Very good. We'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 11 is discussion and possible approval of the 2025 pension plan state aid allocation and payment. Chris, would you do the favors again?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Before the board this evening is the 2025 state aid allocation and payment for authorization to distribute. The funds must be dispersed to the township's pension funds within 30 days of receipt. which they were received on September 24th. Our Finance Director, Christine Riffey, prepared a worksheet outlining the distribution of the state aid received across the township's pension plans. The total state aid received is $839,874.29, with distribution as follows. Police Pension Fund, $243,473.08. Non-uniform Pension Fund, $596,401.21. I will note on the worksheet, it did include sewer, as discussed when we did the merger. There is going to be a certain allocation of the sewer fund because we allocate employees' salaries to the sewer fund, but it will all be deposited into the blended non-uniform pension plan that was approved by the board. So the total 2025 MMO across the township's pension funds is $1,411,783. The state aid received covers 59.5% of the 2025 MMO, and this was included in the 2025 MMO calculation and allocated in the budget accordingly.
Very good, thank you, Chris. Anyone have any questions?
Yes. Can you explain how the minimum municipal obligation is determined? Who determines that and how do they come about that?
Our Assistant Finance Director works on that with our actuary, and it's just determined based on the funding level. And then we receive state aid. There's a form that's filed, I believe it's the AG 385 form that's filed in March that lists all of our individuals subject to the pension plan. I believe they have to have been employed by the township for 6 months in order to be allocated for state aid, and they have to work a minimum of, I believe, 35 hours per week to qualify. So there's a form that's submitted to the Auditor General's office that is then used to calculate the state aid that's received by the state.
And the smoothing method was utilized to determine the MMO?
Yes.
How would the state allocation percentage of our MMO determined?
It's based on that form that's submitted.
Okay. And how were the pension percentages amounts determined? Like 28.99% of the police and the remainder to go to the non-uniform employees. How was that determined?
Yeah, it's determined based on the allocation for the AG 385 form.
Okay, so it's all determined by the state form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Very good. I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 pension plan state aid allocation as described between the police pension fund and the non-uniform pension fund. Thank you, John. Any public comment or questions?
I assume this keeps the percentages.
It fluctuates. So the percentages that we allocate, and now I'm starting to second guess myself because I'm also wondering if it's also broken out by funding level. I will check with our HR director and verify that because now I'm starting to second guess myself. However, the state aid amount that goes towards the MMO fluctuates year by year because it depends on the funding that's received and the MMO that's approved by the board. And the MMO comes out of the minimum municipal obligation that we have to give to each pension fund by the law. There's a formula that's done with our actuary.
I mean, our numbers are pretty high. I'm sure they would stay at that.
In terms of the percentage that's covered?
Yeah, percentage of funding.
I would hope so.
Well, it's like 97.
Oh, you mean
the actuarial funding levels?
Yeah.
Yes. So the board, so I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, the last valuation, they were around, non-uniform was around 84%, and the police was near 100%.
That's right.
That's a good thing.
Yep.
I understand it's a good thing.
I think the state doesn't consider you distressed until you're around 70% or 75%, something like that. So we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments, questions? All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Motion passes 5-0. Agenda item 12, approval of the Board of Supervisors meeting minutes from September the 2nd, 2025. I believe several board members have provided some typo corrections to Chris.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I received just typos, nothing substantive from Mr. Walsh, Mr. Hellman, and Mr. Woolman, and I have incorporated all of those changes into the Word document.
Very good. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of September the 2nd with those corrections. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nate. All in favor is there any comments on the motion? Doug? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? passes 5-0. Agenda item 13 is approval of the bills to be paid for the general fund, the sewer revenue fund, the waste and recycling fund, and the capital reserve fund. Does the board have any questions on the bills to be paid on this list?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Thank you, Ashley. I will second it. Doug, do you have any comments or questions on the bills? Steve? Okay. All right. Does the board have any questions? No? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:09. Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Thank you. All right.
You're not a second guess yourself. It's a lot to know.
There.